All right, so the second week on philosophical hermeneutics, rationality is verification. We're going to be looking at two readings, one from Ricoeur and one from Williams. From the Ricoeur reading, I want you in particular to pay attention to a few pages. Early on, you will notice that there is a reference to Gadamer, and just note that. Note the context in which he's writing. So you've already kind of primed the pump for this by doing a little reading of Gadamer yourself, so you have a little idea of the kinds of things that he says. And so that can kind of give you a running start to this week's reading. But the pages that I want you to pay particular attention to are pages 100 and 101. And I want you to read those pages especially carefully. Try to puzzle them out line by line. Follow the logic of the unfolding sentences. Try to keep an eye on the terminology. And if you don't understand a term, to just at least register that, be aware of that. There's a very good chance that that term will be defined or discussed further on in the reading. So read patiently and probably plan on rereading as well. It's just a couple of pages to really get the sense of what he's doing here. One of the basic things that I want you to be thinking of is that the notion of verification is different from an awareness of belonging to. And what you're going to see, particularly on page 101, is that verification belongs to the realm of the sciences. And it presupposes a scientific understanding of what rationality entails. And Ricoeur, like a lot of the theorists that we've already seen, particularly in the first part, is skeptical about scientific reasoning as truly describing what is going on in rationality, that there are things that get missed, other things that are going on. And he's going to describe these in terms of belonging to. So he's going to move the goalposts a little bit, as it were. And I encourage you to follow along with his reasoning. From the Williams reading, I want you to first of all sit with the T.S. Eliot story that he tells. It's right at the very end of the reading, so I'm actually encouraging you to read it through and then really ponder the implications of the story that he tells about T.S. Eliot and the answer that T.S. Eliot gives to an undergraduate student when that student asks him about a line of his poetry. Eliot is not being facetious, and he is not fobbing the student off. So start with that. Also notice that for Williams, one of the things that's very important is blurring the conventional boundaries of perception, recognizing, like the others that we've been looking at, that there are limitations in the ways in which we ordinarily perceive the world, that we organize the world according to a narrow set of parameters, things that are mostly practical. One might want to keep the McMurray reading in mind here again, how we use knowledge, or we want to know about things for our own purposes. And so we perceive in a certain way. And what poetry does is it blurs the conventional boundaries of our perception. So that's something that I want you to keep in mind as you're doing this reading. And then I want you also to think about the notion that of things being more than they are. Again, the Ricoeur has already put you onto this. Ricoeur is very powerful for this. And what the Williams does is it helps to reinforce this notion. And this has implications for thinking about what poetry is doing.